I want to start over and live a happy life with my girlfriend. You'll be fine on your own, right? You're strong. James, my husband abandoned me and our daughter, who is battling pediatric cancer. After that, my life changed dramatically. Even my mother-in-law, who had always been on my side, sided with my husband. I felt like I had no one left on my side. So I decided to take revenge on my husband to protect my precious daughter. My name is Charlotte, and I turned 33 this year. It was a family of 3 with my daughter Amelia and my husband James. Our relationship began when we met in college and we got married. Later, Amelia was born and we lived a seemingly happy daily life. However, our life was shattered by an unexpected event. Amelia, since birth, had a weak constitution. She easily caught colds and often suffered from headaches, more so than other children. When I discussed Amelia's condition with James, he said, "I used to catch colds frequently when I was a kid too. Maybe she inherited my weak health," looking a bit downcast. My mother-in-law also told me, "Children build stronger bodies by catching colds. My son was the same, so don't worry." Being a mother for the first time, I had my anxieties, but I didn't want to stress Amelia out unnecessarily. Now, I thought to focus on providing balanced nutrition to make Amelia stronger. "Amelia, I'm thinking of making gratin and salad for dinner tonight." "Yay! Mom's gratin! I love it!" But fate can be cruel. One night, Amelia began to suffer from intense abdominal pain. This pain was clearly different from her usual stomach aches. I felt that this isn't normal and quickly woke up my sleeping husband. "Hey, wake up! Amelia is in pain, saying her stomach hurts." "What? Hey, are you okay, Amelia?" "Amelia, where does it hurt?" "My stomach, it hurts." James quickly called an ambulance, and Amelia and I were immediately transported to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor delivered shocking news after examining her. "Please calm down, both of you. Based on the results, it seems your daughter has pediatric cancer." "What? Amelia? Pediatric cancer?" "Doctor, will Amelia be cured if we treat her?" "There are treatments such as chemotherapy and radiation therapy, which can slow down the progression of cancer. However, these treatments can be very tough, both mentally and physically. It will be challenging not only for your daughter, but also for you both. What will you do?" Faced with a sudden choice, both my husband and I were lost. While I could handle it if it was just me, seeing Amelia suffer from the treatments was unbearable. Amelia was immediately hospitalized. I blamed myself for not noticing her condition sooner. James tried to reassure me, saying, "It's not your fault," but I felt incredibly guilty, especially towards my parents and my mother-in-law. But crying wouldn't make Amelia better. After discussing it with Amelia, we decided to do everything we could for her treatment. After that, our lives revolved around Amelia's treatment, and everything changed. Amelia transitioned from her beloved school to hospital life and began undergoing rigorous treatments. The effects of the chemotherapy made her lose a significant amount of hair, and she frequently suffered from nausea and vomiting. I explained the situation to my insurance company, where I worked, and took paid leave to care for Amelia full-time. James, my mother-in-law, and my parents regularly visited to support Amelia mentally. "Hey, Amelia, how are you feeling today?" "I'm fine right now. It doesn't hurt anywhere and I don't feel sick." "That's good. I'm glad you're feeling better." "And Grandma came today and brought me this stuffed animal. The nurse also said it's a cute plush toy." "Oh, Grandma visited you? I have to thank her then." Seeing Amelia find such small joys even in her hospital life, I vowed to work even harder and not to lose hope. Life had shifted from being centered around home and work to being centered around the hospital. While taking care of Amelia and managing household chores, I spent every day hoping for her recovery. One day, amidst this routine, I noticed that my husband, James, was coming home later than usual. Previously, he always informed me if he had to work overtime, but lately, he was returning home late into the night without any notification. Why had he suddenly changed? Curious, I decided to ask James directly. "James, can I ask something? You've been coming home late recently. Is work really tough? You used to let me know if you'd be late." "Oh, about that. A significant issue has come up at work. I've been busy trying to resolve it. Moreover, it's our busiest time of the year, so I've been swamped." "Is that so? Then, is it okay if I prepare dinner in advance? I want to visit Amelia in the hospital and see how she's doing." "That's fine. I'm sorry I haven't been able to visit Amelia lately." This conversation seemed ordinary, but I felt James was behaving differently than before. Intuitively, I sensed something might be wrong, but Amelia's well-being was my top priority, so I decided to set my feelings aside and carry on as usual. However, one day, during a visit to Amelia's hospital room, something happened that made me rethink everything. "Mom, can we talk?" "What's wrong, Amelia?" "Has Dad been very busy with work recently?" "Why do you ask all of a sudden?" "I haven't seen Dad for a while. Is he too busy? Or does he not like me anymore and doesn't want to see me?" "Dad would never dislike you. He's always genuinely concerned about you. He even asks me about your health every day." Hearing Amelia's lonely words, I was taken aback. Not seeing her father must have been causing her immense distress. I felt powerless as a mother. Still, I knew I could comfort Amelia and offer her words of encouragement. I did everything I could to bring a smile to her face and help her overcome her fears. However, since that conversation with Amelia, James' business trip had become more frequent. "What? A business trip? Another one next week?" "It's work. I can't help it." "But hasn't your company increased the number of business trips lately? Before, it was maybe once or twice a year." "The company is thinking of expanding, and various projects are underway. I have to take care of them." "Charlotte, don't you also travel for business?" "Well, yes, but anyway, it can't be helped right now." "I get that, but Amelia told me she's been feeling lonely because she hasn't seen you. She even wondered if you dislike her." "Amelia said that?" "Yes, I understand you are busy, but please consider Amelia's feeling too." "I see, Amelia." "Understood." James muttered that and went to the bathroom. Seeing him apparently indifferent about our child's feelings frustrated me, but I held back, knowing an argument wouldn't solve anything. James' behavior felt off and concerning. But for now, Amelia's well-being remains my primary concern. If there's time to worry about James, think about how Amelia might feel even a bit better. I kept telling myself that and decided to put James' matters on hold for the time being. But I never imagined that this decision would lead to such a huge regret. One day, when my husband was away on business, I got a call from the hospital. They said Amelia's condition had suddenly deteriorated. I was shocked and immediately headed to the hospital. "Doctor, what happened to Amelia? What went wrong?" It seems Amelia had a strong reaction to the side effects of the chemotherapy. We've temporarily stopped the chemotherapy and switched to a different treatment. Thankfully, her life isn't in danger. Is that so? Oh, Amelia, it must have been so hard for you. Relieved, I tried to call my husband to update him about Amelia's condition, but couldn't get through to his cell. I thought he might be busy at work, so I tried contacting his office just to be sure. To my shock, I heard something I never expected. He hadn't gone on a business trip at all, and to top it off, I was told by someone from his office that he had taken paid leave for Amelia's sake. Curious, I asked if the company was currently in its busy season. They said there were busy times, but things were calm right now. Hearing this, I was oddly confused. So I visited my mother-in-law to discuss my husband's actions. "Oh, Charlotte, what's the matter?" "I'm sorry for the sudden visit, but I need to talk to you about James." I bravely told my mother-in-law everything that had happened with James. When she tried to call him for confirmation, I told her his phone was off and he wouldn't answer. He must have been lured by some strange woman. When James comes back, could you let me know? I'll give him a good lecture. Thank you, mother-in-law. While my husband might not listen to me, things could be different with his actual mother. Her supportive words gave me some relief, but the reality wasn't so simple. When my husband came back, I informed my mother-in-law, but he showed no signs of having been reprimanded. Instead, he began to spend nights out without saying anything, and our savings started depleting rapidly. At first, I thought it was due to the increased expenses for Amelia's treatment. But when I compared the receipt from the hospital and our living expenses, I realized the amounts were very different. This suspicion led to frequent arguments with my husband. Furthermore, in a dramatic turn of events, even my mother-in-law started speaking harshly to me and became indifferent to Amelia. She no longer visited Amelia at the hospital like before. While I thought it was due to her age, when she did visit, she seemed distant. Charlotte, I know Amelia is important, but could you also care a bit for James? Don't put all the burden on him. You're a couple, right? I felt like I was all alone with no allies, but this was just the beginning. A few days later, I was made painfully aware of how alone I truly was. One evening, my husband came home usually early. "Oh, you're back early today." "Well, there's something I need to discuss with you." "Huh? What is it?" He placed a paper on the table. To my horror, it was a divorce paper. "What? This is a divorce paper? Why?" Overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events, I was oddly confused. Why had this happened? And so suddenly at that. I couldn't think of anything that would lead him to serve me with divorce papers. Seeing my puzzled face, With a look that seemed to say he had had enough, he spoke. Charlotte, I'm sorry, but I've fallen in love with someone else. What? I can't continue living like this anymore. What do you mean? I don't understand what you're talking about. I just want you to understand. Melia has pediatric cancer and I'm constantly worried and can't find any peace. On top of that, the treatments cost so much that even though I work, our savings keep decreasing. I'm exhausted. Is that true, James? Yes, it's true. I've already packed some of my things, though you probably haven't noticed. He told me firmly as if there was no turning back. It felt like, no matter how much I objected, he had already decided to leave from the start. I despised James for his selfish behavior without considering my feelings. Oh, by the way, telling my mother won't change anything. When I told her about my new girlfriend and the possibility of having a healthy child, she was really happy. I want to start over and live a happy life with her. You'll be fine on your own, right? You are strong after all. So, what about Melia? You're saying you won't be taking care of her anymore? Yeah, that's right. I don't care about her anymore. I see. Understood. From now on, I'll be the one raising Melia. All right then. Take care of things on your own. With that, he left without any hesitation. I sank onto the sofa, unable to stop my tears. I cried all night, and when I woke up, the morning sun was rising. I never imagined this would happen, but seeing the divorce papers on the table made me reality painfully clear. He had left me and our daughter for his new lover. Recalling the painful events of the previous day brought fresh tears to my eyes. He was no longer Amelia's father, so I decided to embark on a new life for her sake. Surprisingly, I quickly switched gears and took action. I went straight to a friend who's a detective. It had been a while since I last met this friend, and seeing my tears, they immediately asked if they could help. I told them everything about James cheating, about him handing me divorce papers, about him leaving for his new lover. Though the memories made me cry, I managed to explain everything. My friends promised to investigate the matter and asked for some time. Later, I went to the hospital and told Amelia about James. Amelia, Daddy has to go far away from work. What? Daddy's going far away? Yes. He had to leave suddenly because of his busy job, but he said he wanted to see you. So, Daddy doesn't hate me? That's right. He's just busy with work and said he loves you very much. He promised to visit once his work is done. I understand. I'll work hard on my treatment. I want to get better soon. That's the spirit. Let's show Daddy your healthy self once you're better. How strong Amelia is, unlike me who's always tearing up. Seeing her bravely face her treatments, I hugged her tightly. After that, I told my parents about James, suggesting that divorce and that we had split up. Due to the circumstances, my relationship with my mother-in-law deteriorated, so I asked my parents to move into the house where I currently live. They understood my situation and gladly agreed to prepare for the move. When I told Amelia, she was overjoyed. Amelia, guess what? Grandma and Grandpa are living with us soon. Really? Yes, they're very excited to live with you. Yay, I'm so excited to live with Grandma and Grandpa. Actually, the house my husband and I lived in was bought by my parents. And for Amelia and my parents, I renovated the house to make it more livable. Thus, I made it so that my husband had no place even if he came back. After a while, I received many documents addressed to me from a friend who is a detective. When I checked the contents, there was a photo of my husband and his mistress happily going to work together. To make matters worse, there were also pictures of this mistress working happily with a man other than my husband. I asked the detective friend to investigate what kind of person this mistress was. I can't divorce for nothing. I won't be satisfied unless she receives some kind of punishment. Fortunately, my husband let me handle a divorce form, so I could submit it whenever I wanted. I haven't submitted the divorce papers to the government office yet. And before long, I received a report from my friend about the identifier of the mistress. The mistress appears to be named Luna. At the young age of 24, she has a cute face. However, she seems to be a woman who, despite not wanting to, has had multiple pregnancies and repeatedly had abortions. Having gained this information, I pondered how to punish my husband and his mistress, Luna. To use people and step on them to achieve your own happiness. When I imagined such people getting their just desserts, I felt a little down, wondering if I was also a heartless person. I thanked my friend and handed over the investigation fee and a tip. Then I copied documents and other evidence of the affair and first confronted my husband's workplace. So as not to be considered quarrelsome, I visited the company under the pretense of an interview to talk to his superiors and HR. In reality, I told the interviewer that I wasn't there to apply for a job, but to inform them that my husband was having an affair at work. I submitted copies of the evidence of the affair and also warned that there might be potential misuse of welfare system. Upon seeing this, the interviewer, especially my husband's boss, deeply expressed his regret. They were well aware of Amelia and understood my position. Therefore, they dealt with the situation without doubting my word. They regretted allowing my husband to misuse his paid leave, which further enabled his actions as a result. They promised to verify the facts with him and take appropriate action. Next, I visited my mother-in-law's house. While she might have been misled by my husband in some ways, she had been disrespectful towards me. However, I needed to tell her the truth about everything my husband had done. When I arrived at her house and rang the doorbell, she responded immediately. "Hello, who might? Oh, Charlotte. I'm sorry for the sudden visit. Didn't you divorce my son? What do you want now?" "Actually, I came to talk about James and Luna." "What about them?" "Luna might be younger than James, but she's a good girl." "Can't you please look at this?" I handed the copies of the photos and documents that proved the affair to my mother-in-law. "I don't know what James told you, but he enjoyed trips with Luna while Amelia was suffering in the hospital. Moreover, Luna seems to have been dating other men besides James." "What? Why would—" She turned pale as she looked at the documents. I continued speaking to her. "James gave me a divorce form. I haven't submitted it yet, and I'm keeping it as a last resort." With that, I left my mother-in-law's house. Then I sent copies of the same evidence to Luna's parents, and the busy days finally started to calm down. One evening, while my family was peacefully enjoying our time together, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, wondering who would visit at this hour. Charlotte, it's been a while. A familiar yet shabby-looking man stood there. He had lost a lot of weight, his beard was unkempt, and he wore tattered clothes. But upon closer inspection, I recognized the mole under his left eye, a distinctive feature of my husband's. Could it be James? Yes, it's me. Didn't you recognize me? Why are you here? I'm sorry. When I mentioned divorce, I was really foolish. I realized that the irreplaceable family I have is just you and Amelia. I listened to what seemed like my husband's excuses, recalling what a friend who had done some investigation had told me. According to my friend, James and Luna used to have happy days. However, after a certain event, their relationship became filled with constant arguments. Charlotte, you haven't filed for divorce yet, right? That wasn't my true intention. It was just a bluff. I made a huge mistake and I'm sorry. Please let me in the house. My husband pleaded desperately. Does he really mean that? Something seemed off. His eyes shifted as if he was hiding something. James, is that the truth? Is that the only reason? When I asked my husband this, he replied, What? Yes. But he wouldn't look straight at me. His obvious attempt to hide something made me inadvertently laugh. There was a reason to my husband was trying to reconcile. Yes, the biggest reason was right here. Even if you plead like that, I won't give you Amelia's inheritance. That's right. Amelia inherited a fortune from her late grandfather a few years ago. He adored Amelia, his first grandchild, and left her significant inheritance. After the grandfather's death, his will stated that he wished to leave about $30,000 for Amelia's future. At the time, James was too busy with work to know about the inheritance. Amelia was still young, so I saved the money in an account I had set up, managing it on her behalf. Part of the $30,000 was used for Amelia's medical treatment, but a significant amount remained in her account. James probably heard about this from his mother-in-law and targeted the inheritance by coming to us. Well, inheritance is not my objective. I just wanted to fulfill my duty as a father. Even though he stated such a righteous reason, his shifty gaze gave away his lies. His demeanor was clearly screaming, I want the inheritance. Such a pitiable, irredeemable man. I sighed in exasperation. Then, a surprising voice came from behind me. Who are you? Do you need something from my mom? It was my daughter, Amelia. My husband had changed so much that even his own daughter didn't recognize him. Seeing her father's aggressive behavior towards me, Amelia, usually gentle, displayed unexpected hostility, glaring at him. The fact that his daughter treated him this way left James at loss for words. Amelia, it's me, your dad. Don't you recognize me? I might have lost some weight, but I'm still the dad you love so much. But as James tried to step inside, Amelia shouted, No, my dad isn't. He isn't this dirty, uncool old man. Amelia then ran back into the living room. James, shocked by his daughter not recognizing him as her father, stared blankly after her retreating figure. You get it now, right? What? Also, the divorce papers you left that day, they're still with me. But it doesn't mean I'm refusing to divorce you. Tomorrow, I'm going to the city court with them. Yes, this is my way of getting back at you to the fullest. Hearing the altercation at the entrance, my parents came out from the living room. My father spoke sternly. I wondered why Charlotte was taking so long at the door. So, it's you. What do you want from my daughter now? Father-in-law, it's been a while. Father-in-law? You're not in a position to call me that, are you? My father spoke firmly, and my overwhelmed husband was at a loss for words. He left our home without saying another word. I wonder why my husband came to my house suddenly that night. When I was about to drive him away, thinking our relationship was over, my panicking husband made excuses. He doesn't have a penny left. His infidelity and misconduct were discovered at work, and he broke up with Luna, whom he had started a new relationship with. He heard that Amelia got better from her pediatric cancer treatment and was discharged from the hospital. He thought about reconciling. If things go well, he could cancel Amelia's life insurance and get the money for himself. He was thinking that he could start over in life. Listening to my husband's story, I was appalled and astounded by his self-centered way of thinking. I felt he was only pursuing his own benefits without considering Amelia's happiness or the money needed for her treatment. About Amelia's life insurance, I had already proceeded the cancellation, and the refund was used for Amelia's treatment and house renovation. To begin with, I thought a father who unilaterally decided on divorce and seemed to abandon his child didn't deserve any insurance money. The next day, I went to the city court with divorce papers. However, on that way, I felt like someone was following me, so I ran into a police box for help. After that, I no longer felt like I was being followed, and I successfully submitted the divorce papers. It took some time until the divorce. However, the court fully accepted my petition and the divorce was finalized. My ties with my husband were officially severed. I felt relieved. Later on, Amelia's pediatric cancer did not worsen, and she was able to return to school life. There are still some restrictions on her school life, but she is gradually getting back to her old life. My parents spent more days out with Amelia, enjoying their time, and everyone was happily living their lives. I occasionally received emails from my ex-husband, James, expressing his longing for the family. Charlotte, who is your real family? Think about it. I think I've said this before, but I made a terrible mistake. I regret it. Won't you forgive me? I don't have money, but I have more love for you and our daughter than anyone else. I will send you a bouquet of roses for your next birthday. Because he was too persistent, I kept rejecting him and even blocked his calls. But he didn't give up and started hanging around my house, looking ragged from morning to night. His tenacity was both scary and creepy. When I consulted with a friend, they suggested that James might be targeting Amelia, thinking that having a child around would gain him sympathy. So I put a security alarm in Amelia's school bag and alerted the police if any suspicious men were around. As a result, James disappeared and was no longer seen around our home. Being mocked by the police and having my father at home probably scared him off. But when I went out, I noticed James following me. I informed James' mother about his harassment. Excuse me, your son is bothering us. I don't care about breaking ties, but I can't tolerate this any longer. Can you tell James to stop? Well, even if you say that, he's no longer my son. I was surprised by her unexpected words. She seemed indifferent to James, treating him as if he were someone else's problem. So, if something happens to us because of James, you're going to pretend you didn't know? I never thought he'd do something so terrible. What would people say if they knew about this? It seems everyone already knows. When I said that, the call abruptly ended. My mother-in-law is overly concerned about appearances. I think this gave her a reality check. After betraying our family and hurting our daughter's feelings, I wanted him to live a miserable life surrounded by rumors. Then, one day, I suddenly received a call from Luna, James' affair partner. "Hello, are you James' wife? It's your fault my planned life is ruined. What are you going to do about it?" "Oh, Luna, aren't you the one who had an affair with my ex-husband? Responsibility? Why should I take responsibility?" "What? If I could have married James, I would have had to continue this tough job." "Really? There are plenty of other wonderful men out there, not just James, right?" "No, rumors about me have spread, and everyone both in my company and our clients are distancing themselves from me." "That sounds tough." "Please, ma'am, can't you just pretend that nothing happened between James and me? Can't you tell that to the company?" "That's a tough request. You reap what you sow." "But I've been transferred to a rural area in Alaska." "Well, why not ask James, whom you loved so much, for help?" "I can't do that. That's why I'm begging you." The ex-husband and Luna were disowned by their trusting and loving mother-in-law and parents. It seems the company sent them to remote rural areas in the far north and south so they wouldn't see each other. They became too self-centered, and their desire grew too strong, leading to their misfortune. One could say they got what they deserved. After that, I wasn't too concerned about the fate of my ex-husband, Luna, or my mother-in-law, and I didn't even know what happened to them. I decided to focus solely on protecting my family's happiness. One day, I had this conversation with Amelia. "Hey, Amelia, don't you miss Dad?" After thinking for a while, Amelia replied, I felt a little lonely before, but even when he was hospitalized, I rarely saw him. Now I don't really mind." Amelia continued, "Now I have Grandpa and Grandma, so every day is very fun and I'm glad." "I see, I'm glad. If you're happy, that makes me happy too." "I can also go to school like before. I'm very happy." Amelia said this with a smile. I felt the return of her innocent smile that I hadn't seen during her cancer treatment. Seeing Amelia's smile, I deeply felt the happiness that I had almost lost. "I'm off now." With a big pink backpack on her small back, Amelia energetically waved her hand and headed out the front door. "Take care, Amelia. Enjoy school." "Okay." Watching the lively figure of Amelia heading to school, I resolved to cherish the happy days with Amelia and my parents.